Welcome back, everybody. Thank you again for being here. This is Jack Graham, and we're here for another video today. Got a few things to talk about. I hope you enjoy what we're going to talk about. Thank you for being here, taking some time and listening to what we do. I appreciate it. If you do like what you see, hit the like button and the subscribe button. It does help get the word out, and I really appreciate it. If you have any comments, please leave some. I try to answer every comment. If you great folks are nice enough to leave me a comment, the least I can do is answer it, and I will get to them. Questions, comments, always welcome. And again, thank you for being here. A couple of things to talk about today. Last week, I spent a day up in Indianapolis, which is about a 6-hour drive north of here. I had to pick up a new piece of equipment. Maybe we'll talk about at some point. But I did get to actually three record stores. One was an absolute home run, which was Luna, L-U-N-A, Luna Records, I believe up there in the Broad Ripple area on the north side of Indianapolis. Boy, they had a great selection of stuff, and if anybody gets to Indianapolis, I would highly recommend them. I don't know if they sell online or not. I think they do have a Discogs area. They just got a collection a few months ago of some OJCs, some OJC reissues from the 80s. And boy, I got to tell you, if I had the money, I'd have bought every one of them. And most of them were in really good shape. I did buy a few. I'm going to talk a little bit about that today. So we're going to talk about a couple of records I picked up. We're going to talk about a new record that came in that I really am very impressed with. And then a couple records that I'd love to see reissued, either under Tone Poet, the Riverside collection, Verve collection. Chad, if you're listening, I know it's really, I think one of the hardest parts of reissuing records is figuring out which ones to reissue, because you're working so far in advance and you're trying to figure out how many you're going to sell. It's tough, so you really have to be picky. And Chad, for one, and Craft, working with Craft and the folks over at Impex really do a great job. And so far, what's come out, and of course, Tone Poets, we can go right down the list. Most everything I just think has been really great. I like reissues. A lot of people collect the originals because they like to collect them, and some of them sound great. Some of the reissues I think sound better. Depends on the record, and there's been a lot of YouTube videos on that. I'm not going to get into that discussion, but there's validation for each. Lou Donaldson. I've been looking for this record for a long time. I have it on CD, but I didn't have the vinyl. This is a 75th anniversary repress on Blue Note, of course. But what a lineup. Lou Donaldson, great alto player. You might remember Lou worked with Clifford Brown and Art Blakey in that group, Curly Russell, back in the Birdland recordings back in the 50s on Blue Note. And this again is on Blue Note. It was recorded in 1967. What a lineup, though. Lou Donaldson, Jerry Dodgen, great player, alto and flute. New York studio player, worked at the Mellow's Stan Jones Band, played with a lot of people. Jerry's a really good player. Wayne Shorter, Pepper Adams, Freddie Hubbard, Garnett Brown, McCoy Tyner, Ron Carter, and Al Harewood on drums. So you've got 9 pieces in this. And they play standards, there's 7 or 8 cuts on here. I'm dying to hear this on vinyl. I have not opened it, but I found a sealed copy. Real happy to get it. I paid $24 for it. But for a sealed copy, I think that's a fair price. It's probably the Discogs price. The days, I think you all know, the days of finding, unless you get lucky, the days of finding really, original stuff Blue Notes and what have you, and record stores are over there. People who own the stores, most of them know what they're doing, and they pull them out and they sell them on Discogs or eBay for a lot of money. Once in a while you come across something. I think that was a good find. Another Blue Note. This is in that series with that gold thing on the front. Direct metal mastering, digitally remastered, audiophile edition, premium quality vinyl. Well, the vinyl's great. I haven't heard this yet. This will be tonight. But, you know, it's on the Blue Note label, the blue and white Blue Note label with a date on here, 1980. I think it's I can't read it. It's too dark in here. But at any rate, you know, it's a DMM. So I'm not overly optimistic about how this is going to sound. It may sound great, but it may not. But it was reasonable, so I picked it up. Finger Pop with Horace Silver. This is one of his great bands with Blue Mitchell and Junior Cook. I like Junior Cook. I'm a big Junior Cook fan. So, you know, and Louis Hayes, of course, on drums, Gene Taylor on bass. But this is a good record. You know, Finger Poppin' is a kind of Horace Silver standard, and Cooking at the Continental is really a fun tune on here. But at any rate, found that up there too. Reasonable. Here's a record. I remember somebody was talking about this. I don't know. It was Rob the Waxed or the Jazz Bums or somebody was talking about this record. And man, I got to tell you, you know, it's a shame that the Muse collection and some of the other labels don't find their way to being reissued. But this is one of those OJCs that they had. This is a Prestige with Sonny Chris. And great cover. I think this may be his best record. I'm a real Sonny Chris fan. Alto player, really, really lyrical player, thoughtful player, with Paul Chambers, Alan Dawson, and Walter Davis on piano. This is on Prestige's OJC 430. It's around, and I have a copy of this, but this is a clean copy that I found up there. Just really, really, really clean. And I'm real happy with this. I listened to this the other night. What a great record. I think this is Sonny Chris's. I think it's his best record. This is Sonny Chris. Here's the alto saxophonist whose consummate artistry approaches perfection. And it does. This is a must-have, folks. Find this record. It's a must-have. I also found a Sonny Stitt. I guess one of the Sonny Clark, Sonny Chris, and Sonny Stitt. I guess a lot of Sonny alto players. Sonny Rollins. Tenor player, though, of course. Sonny Stitt, Blues for Duke on Muse, MR 5129. This I found up there. It's a VG, kind of maybe a VG plus. I'll just say VG. It's not a great copy, but it was reasonable. And again, Sam Jones, Billy Higgins, and Barry Harris on piano. This is on the Muse records, and I wish someone would find a way, Chad, if you're listening, to do some of these Muse. You could do a box set of Kenny Drew, you know, and some of these other great players that recorded on Muse. Muse, it's a great label, and the records sound great. I have yet to hear a bad sounding Muse record. I'm sure there is one or two. Okay, well, let's see what else is up there. That's really the highlights of the things I picked up, but I want to talk about some things that I would love to see reissued. I'd love to see, you know, the Kevin Grays and the Bernie Grunmans and those great mastering folks who seem to never sleep. Do some of these. I know you work a year or two out, and I know you're probably getting bombarded with people like me who probably are sending you things that they'd love to see reissued. Miles Davis we keep seeing Miles Davis and Coltrane's and all these things come out, and you know, for the most part, most of them are great, and as they should be reissued. But there's one Miles Davis set that I would love to see reissued, and they're really hard to find. If you can find anything that Miles did at the Plug Nickel in Chicago, pick it up, because it's hard stuff to find. And I've got the complete box set on CD, but I have yet to see, I haven't been able to find anything in really good quality on vinyl with the whole Plug Nickel thing. There's a whole story behind that. You know, that quintet tended to play, you know, a lot of the same tunes every night. You know, I Thought About You, Autumn Leaves, So What, you know, the stuff on both the Four and More record and Miles Ahead and the other stuff. Great stuff. But I think they were getting tired of playing the same stuff every night. So on the way to Chicago on the plane, I think the band said, we're going to play this stuff, but we're going to play it differently than we've ever played it. They didn't tell Miles, and they recorded. And when Miles heard what was going on, you know, Miles thought it was great and got into it. And these recordings are historical, I think, in that vein. The copy that I have, it's a European copy, and I don't know if it's a UK or where it's from. It's marked up, but it's a CBS. It's a crazy label, a CBS label. And I should know where this is. I have a feeling it's a UK label, but it's pressed somewhere in Europe, and actually sounds pretty good. But Plug Nickel, there's like a number of nights, 4 or 5 nights, could make a great box set. So those of you who are repressing Miles Davis, you know, even MoFi, somebody, please repress Plug Nickel, please. It's great stuff, historical. Okay, so some ideas for Blue Note would make a great tone poet. How about Donald Byrd, Fuego? You know, I think a very underappreciated record. Young Jackie McLean, young Donald Byrd, Duke Pearson, Doug Watkins, Les Humphreys. Actually, the title tune on here, Fuego, F-U-E-G-O, I think it's the weakest tune on the record. It's good, but it's not. The other tunes are just great, and Byrd plays great. I love Donald Byrd's playing in this period of his life, and Jackie McLean plays great on here. Blue Note 84026. I think this was released in the mid-60s, if I remember right. I'm not going to take the time, but it's probably in the mid-60s. Maybe 65, 64, 65, 66 in there. But Fuego would make a great tone poet. I also think that this Joe Henderson record, Joe Henderson's really hot now. People are buying Joe Henderson. Prices are going up like crazy on Joe's stuff, deservedly so. It's an interesting record. He did this as a trio with Ron Carter and Al Foster. So it's tenor, drums, and bass, no piano. And Joe does a lot of introspection on here. I think some of his greatest playing may be, you know, it's hard to say this record. I guess there's a volume 2. This is volume 1. I listened to this the other night, and it is superb. Joe Henderson, The State of the Tenor, live at the Village Vanguard, volume 1. Yeah, Blue Note 85123. Really good record. Would make a great tone poet. So we just had a Riverside record come out, and I'm going to talk about that in a minute because I really like it. This record I bought in a little music store in Hackensack, New Jersey. I had to be, God, I bet I was 12, 13 years old. I remember riding my bike over there. And I bought this record because, you know, I heard Nat Adderley on the radio, and I said, man, he's a great player. and this record has always been one of my favorite records. I do have it on CD. Now I have it on vinyl. And it's a good copy. And I found it in Indianapolis. And it is on Riverside. And it's really recorded well. And what I mean by that is that this is not a small band. This is a big group. It's got to be 12, 13 people here. Nat, Cannonball, Yusef Lateef, Jimmy Heath, Charlie Rouse, Tate Houston and Barry, Wynton Kelly, Jim Hall, Jimmy Heath, Jimmy Cobb, Sam Jones, some Les Spann, guitarist, underrated player. And this was done in 1960. And it's called That's Right, Nat Adderley and the Big Sax Section, RLP 330. A great record. Jimmy Heath did the arrangements on here. And Nat plays great. You don't hear too much Cannonball. Cannonball on Nat's records kind of lays back. He doesn't get in the way. I think he realizes that it's his brother's stuff and he stays out of the way. But Yusef Lateef plays great on here. Jimmy Heath, as always. Charlie Rouse. So there's 3 tenors, 4 tenors, couple altos, and rhythm, and Nat. So it's really a great record. If you have a streamer, stream this. I'm sure it's there. Man, would I love to see this reissued on good vinyl. You know, let's go a little bit out of order. This is the record that I wanted to talk about, the new record that just came in that Craft did. And this is the reissue. This is the reissue that just shipped last week. And it's Cannonball Adderley. And I'm sure some of you have this already. This is a Craft reissue of the Riverside record from the You Know What I Mean is the title. Bill Evans is on this. What's interesting is that the rhythm section is Connie Kay and Percy Heath, which is the two of the 4 modern jazz quartet records groups. A lot of people asked, why did they use those guys and not, the typical rhythm section that was being used a lot on Riverside during those times? Louis Hayes, Sam Jones. I think I know why. So I grew up outside of New York City, and all of these guys, they all lived within 10 miles of the George Washington Bridge. It's a bunch of towns around there, off Route 4, Route 46, Route 3, Teaneck, Hackensack, New Milford, Bergenfield, Paramus, Englewood. And all these guys lived in the same area, and they ran into each other, at the luncheonette, in the grocery stores. And I think that Cannonball and the rhythm section here, 2/3 of the rhythm section in the modern jazz quartet, I think they lived around each other. They knew who they were, and this was a chance for Cannonball, and they actually mentioned this, I think, in the linear notes, that these guys are used to playing with each other, Connie Kay and Percy Heath. And they didn't get in anybody's way. They just played the time, played the changes, and let Cannonball be the star and let Bill Evans be the star. Bill Evans plays so good on this record. It's recorded exceedingly well. It's one of the best Craft records I think I've heard. Riverside during that time period, I don't think had the same quality sound that Blue Note had. I think Van Gelder and what Blue Note was doing, I think their recording technique was better than what was going on in Riverside. But I got to tell you that this is Kevin Gray knocked this out of the box. If you don't have this, pick it up. Caravan also came out. That's a No, they're Riverside, and that I have not heard yet. Sitting here, but this is exceptional. It's just superb. Just superb. Know what I mean? Cannonball Adderley. But I think what makes this is Connie K, Percy Heath working cohesively together with Bill Evans laying down the changes that only he could do. Okay, two other things. Let's stay with Cannonball for a minute. Another one that I'd love to see reissued, Chad, on Riverside. You can find a way to do this. This is a record at the Lighthouse. I found this last week in Indianapolis as well. And this is the great Cannonball Adderley group that he had in the 60s with Nat and Victor Feldman and Sam Jones and Louis Hayes. And this was done in the Lighthouse at Hermosa Beach in California in 1960. Sacca Woe is on here. Just great tunes on here. What is this thing called? Love. This was like my favorite Cannonball Adderley group of all time. Recorded well. I'd love if the tapes are around. This would be a great record to do. Craft, do it. It's great. It's great. Finally, we'll talk about one more record here. You know, I was listening to something on internet radio. I was doing something the other day, and I heard, or a couple of weeks ago, I heard this record. I looked to see what it was, and then I streamed it. I said, man, how come I never heard of this record? Well, I never heard of it because I never heard of it. But I found a copy. I found a Japanese pressing, and it's called Sittin In, with Dizzy Gillespie, Stan Getz, Coleman Hawkins, and Paul Gonsalves. Now, anybody tell me if they've ever seen Paul Gonsalves, Hawkins, Getz together, those three tenor players, on the same record? I haven't. Dizzy plays just exceptionally well on here. I don't know who the rhythm section is, but it's an exceptional record. And they do two ballad medleys, one on the side one on side two. And it's just exceptionally well. I know the tapes have to be in great shape, so that it would be really easy to reissue this record. It's exceptional. Stream it if you don't have it. And this, of course, is the Japanese pressing on Verve. It is a mono pressing. I'm not sure if there's a stereo pressing of it out, maybe, but this is in mono and sounds great. So, Chad, if you're listening, those are some ideas about some represses and some things I found. You know, I'll leave the classical stuff till maybe the next video. I'll tease you. Listen to Mahler's Ninth Symphony. I put this in my top 10 of symphonic music ever recorded. This is the Simon Rattle version with the Berlin Philharmonic. Check it out. If you like jazz and you like great sounds and exploratory sounds, read up, listen to Mahler. The guy was a genius. And a lot of the people that I mentioned here today, they know who Mahler was. I guarantee it. Anyhow, thank you for watching. That'll be it for today. So much for a short video. We went too long here. If you're still listening, thank you. Like, subscribe, and we'll see you again next time. For now, bye-bye.